blues fans, glad you're here. Time for another episode of This Week of the Blues. It's our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Matson, with Big Train and the Locomotives. Now, we had one of our viewers write in and ask if it would be okay if they submitted suggestions on, different people that they felt we should cover. And it's like, absolutely. Tell us about the blues artists that are out there currently, out on the road, hitting venues, hitting festivals. Also tell us about the blues artists that have kind of come and gone, that made an impact and have kind of faded into obscurity, but still need to have their story told. So we have our daily blues history post on our social media like Facebook and Instagram. And then we also do the weekly This Week in the Blues. So we're always looking for good ideas. So send them our way. So with that, let's take a look and see what happened this week in blues history. Blues piano maestro Pinetop Perkins was born July 7th, 1913. Perkins began as a guitarist, but a mid-1940s encounter with an outraged chorus girl toting a knife left him with severed tendons in his left arm. That dashed his guitar aspirations, and he concentrated solely on piano from that point on. Perkins had traveled to Helena, Arkansas, playing on the King Biscuit Time radio show. He eventually settled in Chicago and replaced Otis Spann in Muddy Waters Band, where he would spend more than a decade. In 2010, he collaborated with Willie Big Eyes Smith for the album Joined at the Hip, which won a Grammy for Best Traditional Blues Album, giving the 97-year-old Perkins the status of the oldest Grammy winner ever. Blues pianist Johnny Johnson was born July 8th back in 1924. Johnson had a band called the Sir John Trio, and on New Year's Eve in 1953, a little-known guitarist named Chuck Berry joined them. Soon afterward, Barry took over as a group songwriter, frontman, and guitar player. For over 28 years, Johnson's rhythmic piano playing was a key element in all of Barry's hit singles, a good number of which Johnson arranged. Johnson is widely regarded to be the inspiration for one of Barry's biggest hits, Johnny Be Good. He would go on to play and record with, among others, Eric Clapton, Bo Diddley, George Thorogood, and even Aerosmith. Blues guitarist Blind Boy Fuller was born July 10th in 1907. Unlike blues artists like Big Bill Broonzy or Memphis Minnie, who recorded extensively over 3 or 4 decades, Blind Boy Fuller recorded his substantial body of work over a short 6-year span. Nevertheless, he was one of the most recorded artists of his time, and by far the most popular and influential Piedmont blues player of the time. From 1935 to 1941, he had recorded over 120 sides. He also served as a conduit to recording sessions, steering fellow blues musicians into the studio. One of my favorite guitarists was born July 10th, 1953. I'm talking about Charlie Baty, best known as the leader of the award-winning blues band Little Charlie and the Nightcats. Over the course of his career, he shared stages with Muddy Waters, Greg Allman, Robert Cray, Albert Collins, Los Lobos, and many others. Baty proudly never played the same song the same way twice. His playing bridged hard Chicago blues with swing jazz, and his inspirations were as diverse as Buddy Guy, Django Reinhardt, and Tiny Grimes. Chicago blues pianist Barrelhouse Chuck was born on July 10th in 1958. He claimed to be the only Chicago blues pianist to have studied under Sunnyland Slim, Pinetop Perkins, Blind Job Davis, Detroit Jr., and Little Brother Montgomery. In 2013 and 2014, Barrelhouse Chuck was nominated for a Blues Award in the category Pinetop Perkins Piano Player. In 2016, he lost a long battle with cancer at the age of 58. During his career, he played or recorded with Jimmy Rogers, Eddie Taylor, Hubert Sumlin, Otis Rush, Buddy Guy, and Otis Big Smoky Smothers. Magic Sam started recording Westside Soul on July 12th in 1967. It would prove to be groundbreaking in pairing soul and blues together. Westside Soul was a fresh, spirited distillation of the blues as it was being played in Chicago's Southside clubs. It is often cited as one of the key modern electric blues albums. The album includes an updated Sweet Home Chicago, which became a popular blues anthem. July 12, 1959 marks day 2 of the first Newport Folk Festival. The lineup included blues greats Bo Diddley, Memphis Slim, Oscar Brand, and the Reverend Gary Davis. The Newport Folk Festival was a place where many blues artists in the 20s and 30s relaunched their careers. Blues in the Mississippi Night was recorded on July 13, 1947, and this is an important story, so please hear me out. When folklorist Alan Lomax recorded Big Bill Broonzy, Memphis Slim, and John Lee Sonny Boy Williamson, the results were so controversial that he waited a decade to release the album, and even then, disguised the identity of the artist and the location of the session. The three bluesmen, dubbed Natchez, Leroy, and Sib in the original album notes, did more than play the blues on the album. They defined it in candid conversation, relaying such wrenching tales of hardships and racial injustice that, according to Lomax, they feared that a release of the recording might bring reprisals against them. Lomax had worries too, and during the McCarthy era, his activities came under question, so he just up and moved to England. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. Now, if you want to know more about these artists or other things that happened this week in the blues, be sure to follow our social media pages or visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. We'll have a new episode next week, so we'll see you then.